Hello, hi, welcome to the new video. Here in this video, it is regarding the further round, which was I shared a video regarding the first round of interview, and it was for second round. Okay, and there are some good practical questions asked in this particular interview, real-time questions I can say. So definitely this might going to help for you in especially if you are preparing. You can also face these kind of questions in your interviews also. Okay, and one more thing, like I'm getting a lot of comments regarding how you are getting a lot of interview calls and all, and I think in the earlier video also at the last I have explained some pointers, discussed some pointers regarding the same. Here in the beginning of the video itself I wanted to discuss. Why? Because many of the people will start watch from the start, right? So the thing was, you need to lie. Okay, lie in the sense you need to make sure first of all make sure to decrease your notice period in the sense in the Naukri profile I'm saying. Okay, so then check for 1 week. If still you are not getting a calls, you can still decrease much more, like within 30 days you can join, within 20 days you can join. My last working day was after 10 days, like that you can mention in your profile. At the time you will start receiving calls. Okay, in some cases they may expect, based on the company, they may expect to share a kind of supporting document or some resignation email kind of thing. Very few people will ask about that, but don't worry, many people will schedule an interview and proceed further. Okay, and first things first, like don't think about what if I got selected and how to convince them in that case. Okay, there is a obviously solution for each and every problem. Don't worry and think about that. Okay, so that is one of the solution from my end. And whenever you are attending for a interview, be prepared for the interview. Okay, don't randomly blindly queue. It is a kind of no use, right? So whenever you are giving an interview, make sure you are properly prepared for the interview, and also you are maintaining a job description ready, okay, within yourself. Okay, coming back to the interview discussion, like if you see in the first round of discussion, they like horizontal knowledge test was happened. Majorly, many of the cases it will happen like that only, and in some cases they will deep dive into like more practical oriented first only. Okay, why? Because they need to test your programming skills and analytical skills and problem solving, your command expertise. Okay, so they will check that also. It's entirely based upon the interviewer, and the job description completely depends on that. Okay, and moving to here, the first question was to write a script. Okay, in a shell script, and the thing was that script automatically rotates and compresses the logs which is older than 7 days. Okay, and keeping only the last 30 days logs. And how would you schedule that particular? And the next question was your Jenkins build is taking 20 minutes too slow. How would you diagnose and speed it up? What are the steps you will take to optimize? List at least 3 steps or optimizations. It is regarding a kind of troubleshooting where you can describe in the above question. You can also, he also asked like what shell scripting or Python scripting, anything works. Okay, And here in Jenkins case, you can discuss the possible scenarios like parallel stages running, like a test stage, lint stage, code checkout, and then build stage. Okay, and dependencies. We can check for dependencies. That is also taking kind of a longer time to get the dependencies, and using a lightweight containers, that is also one of the best possible approach. And moving to the next question, like whatever the possible cases to reduce the Jenkins build time, you can mention. In Terraform, you need to create a Azure Virtual Machine, 2 subnets, and associate a network security group. With each subnet, show the any HCL blocks you would write. Actually, interviewer asked her to share the screen, and in the notepad, like can you demonstrate how would you approach? Okay, the thing was, with the help of Terraform, we need to provide whatever the resources mentioned here: Azure Virtual Machine, 2 subnets, and associate network security group in each subnet. Okay, here in this case we need to choose a provider as Azure, and then we need to specify the resource like Azure RM resource group, and we need to give the resource group name, and location we need to give like east, US, or west. Okay, like location just basically. And then a resource we need to specify which one, what first of all, virtual network. Okay, so then we need to specify the name of the virtual network, and we can specify the address namespace and that location, which is Azure RM resource group dot RG and the respective location, and what is the resource group name, we need to specify that also. Likewise, we need to provide for each and every resource. Okay, and you need to deploy a Kubernetes deployment with 0 downtime rolling updates. What specific fields do you use and how? To deploy a Kubernetes deployment with a 0 downtime rolling updates, we need to we need to basically set strategy type as rolling update, and rolling update maximum surcharge we can set up to for 25%, and max unavailability we can set up to 0 to make sure there is no downtime at all. Okay, and we can also add readliness as well as liveliness probes to control the traffic shifts. And moving to the next question, write a Python scripts that reads a AWS Cloud Watch logs via the Boto3 module and filter an error and enters it to the in the last hour and emails a summary. Okay, here it's a kind of a Python script where we need to write a Python scripts that reads a AWS CloudWatch logs. Via the model. Boto3 is the model where it will. We can able to communicate with the AWS services, and we need to filter error for error entries in the last 1 hour. Okay, the filter should be for last 1 hour. We need to apply. Okay, we need to first of all import a boat o3 module, and we need to use a time window with error as a filter, and then we need to collect a messages into a list, and format it into a HTML or plain text, whichever possible, and we need to send it via the SNTP, SMS notification, and yeah, that is how you can achieve that. And moving to the next question, a critical container in Kubernetes keeps crashing with OOMKilled. What is your troubleshooting and how do you resolve this particular issue? Basically, we can check kubectl describe pod. We can saw the OOMKilled, and we can check the metrics via the Prometheus and Grafana, like basically the logs dashboard, and we can increase the resource limits memory from let's say 512 MA to 1 GI in Helm values, and MI and GI was in the Helm values basically, and we can also add a monitoring alert on memory usage to crash further trends, and to basically to observe the further trends. And this is a scenario based question where your team needs to deploy a database migration outside an application app update. And how do you design the pipeline to ensure the DB change runs safely before the new code that depends on it? Okay, I think we missed one question in between. Ansible. Okay. In Ansible, write a snippet that installs Docker in a Ubuntu host, ensures the service is running, and that your user is in the Docker group. Okay, basically we need to create a with the help of Ansible. We need to install a Docker on a Ubuntu host. We need to give the name, and then we need to specify the hybrid details like name, state, and update cache. We can keep the S, and we can give the name like that particular component name, like start or enable Docker, and we need to specify this under the services. And to give the name like Docker, and state would be like after installation it will be like started. Then we need to specify the status started, and the enable should be S, and your user is in the Docker group. Okay, and also we need to make sure the user in the Docker group, and we need to specify the name, like adding the user into a Docker group, and we need to specify the name, and then groups we can add Docker, and enable append should be S, where that will append it to the Docker group. And moving to the next question, I think this is a scenario based question. I just went through the question. Okay, and write a one line command to tail multiple pods logs in Kubernetes labeled application myapp. Okay, we need to it is basically a command where we can use kubectl log -l app is equal to map and -f as a flag that will shows the all containers. We can give -all containers, and for I think we can go to more. You need to migrate an on-prem Jenkins instance to AWS. Outline the steps you would take, including data, agents, and security. It is basically a migration strategy how you will follow. Like first of all, we will prepare a backup and take a snapshot of it, and we can deploy the Jenkins on AWS using a Terraform on EC2 behind an application load balancer, and we can use IAM roles for EC2 agents and mounts like EBS volumes for a home directory, and we can restore and we can validate the plugin compatibility, and then we can update the DNS in Route 53, verify the connections like HTTP and HTTPS, and then we can shut down on-premise server and our cloud server will be up and running. Okay, sorry, I moved it. You need to integrate a new microservice into an existing service mesh. Example is what steps and configurations are required. Okay, first of all, we need to label the namespace with Istio, and we need to add a virtual service and destination role, like what is the destination role for the manifest file for the new service basically, and ensure the deployment pod had a sidecar Istio, and moving to the next question, describe how would you handle a secret rotation for database credentials used by applications in Kubernetes. We can use secret store operator like AWS Secret Manager, HashiCorp Vault, and AWS Secret Store also. Okay, where we can enable automatic rotation in Secret Manager. Let's say lambda rotation. Sorry, and we can configure the pods to pick up new values and restart via the annotation change hook by setting up like reconcile period, we can say, where by that time it will automatically pods pick up new values and restart. Okay, and moving to the next question, your team needs to standardize way of validation Terraform code before merge. What tooling and pipeline steps would you implement? Basically, in this particular scenario, we can set up a IAM role. Sorry, describe how would you I think this is written right. Is there? Okay. Your team needs to standardize way of validation your Terraform code before merge. What tooling and pipeline steps would you implement? Yeah, regarding the pipeline implementation, we can add a Terraform validation in a GitLab CI or Jenkins CI in the particular job, and we can integrate the like scanning tools into the pipeline as a stage. Like Terraform file will be scanned with those tools, and we can use GitLab we can also be use or like GitLab Terraform Docker image to run a plan, and we can upload the plan file as a merge request artifact. And here basically end-to-end validation will be covered with security. In a scenario where a deployment succeeded but health checkups fail, how do you roll back safely and investigate the root cause? Okay, in this particular case, we can run kubectl rollout undo and deployment or myapp to revert, and we can inspect the failed pods, kubectl describe, and kubectl logs also gives, and that will basically helps to pinpoint the error. And we can add a pre-deployment smoke test in the pipeline to hit the readliness before proceeding to the actual production. Okay, and explain how would set up a cross account AWS CI/CD pipeline that deploys into a production account from a central build account. It is basically a cross account. We can set up a IAM role in production with only necessary cloud formation or like Terraform permissions, and we can trust the policy with what I'm answering. Sorry, I think I'm going out of control. One moment. It is regarding cross account AWS account creation, right? I thought it was something related to. Okay. Explain how would you have set up a cross account AWS CI/CD pipeline that deploys into a production account from a central build account. In the build account, configure a code pipeline with an IAM role that can assume a deploy role in the prod account. Okay, and in the production, what you can do was you can create an IAM role with limited deployment privileges. Okay, and you can trust policy by allowing the build account, and you can use secure artifacts in the S3 bucket with cross account permissions as well. Yes, sorry for the long pause and in between disturbance. Okay, how would you instruct a new Python based microservice for distributed tracing? Which tools and code changes are required? How would you instrument a new Python based microservice for distributed tracing? And to be frank, I was also not sure. Our security team wants to enforce that no image runs as root in production. How would you ensure that across our Kubernetes cluster? Basically, in this particular case, we can enable Kubernetes pod security admission in restricted mode for the prod namespace, and we can add an OBA gatekeeper and constraint template to reject the pods without run as an non-root user. Okay, run as non-root user, you can keep true, and we can enable, we can ensure all the Helm charts default to a non-root security context. That is also one of the best practice. And also scanning of images also, I'm implementing a stage in the pipeline itself to scan the images early in the software development life cycle. Okay, I think in this particular interview there are some difficulty questions also. Okay, so prepare. All the best.